Hello everyone, very warm welcome to all of you on the platform of AptiPlus. My name is Akhilesh, and in today's video I'm going to introduce the marine heat wave which was recently in news. Basically, you all have this idea that heat wave, whether it is in marine or on continent, is a situation in which there is a rise of temperature from the average for consecutive 5 days. So if it is the case, then we call it heat wave. And just like the heat wave on the continents, nowadays we are going to see this marine heat waves in the water also. In this particular topic, if you see the marine heat wave, it was recently in news in July 2025, which was in case of Mediterranean Sea. The sea surface temperature of Mediterranean Sea is what? Very high from its average normal. In general, if you see the heat waves, you will find that the temperature of the sea surface temperature should be let's say 3 to 4 degrees centigrade higher as compared to the average sea surface temperature. But this heat wave which was reported in Mediterranean Sea is one of the rarest of rare occurring phenomena, and the scientists used to term it 1 in a billion climatological event. 1 in a billion climatological event, that is something very abnormal, is associated with this phenomena. And the definition of IPCC 6 assessment report, what is marine heat wave? Is a prolonged period of abnormally warm sea surface temperature. According to it, if we quantify it, you will find 3 to 4 degrees centigrade rise in temperature, sea surface temperature, from the average normal high temperature of that very region. Fine. So temperature, sea surface temperature relative to historical norm lasting days to month. But in the IPCC report, it is mentioned that if this temperature remain consecutive for 5 days, we call it that area is under heat wave. And that is what marine heat wave. Occurs in surface and subsurface ocean layer, can happen in any season. Frequency has tripled in 40 years and duration has increased by 50%. पिछले 40 सालों में इनका जो फ्रीक्वेंसी है मरीन हीट वेव्स का वो बढ़ा है, और इनके जो ड्यूरेशंस हैं कि कितने देर दे एग्जिस्ट, इट इज इंक्रीज्ड बाय 50%. These are something information related with the marine heat wave which observed in the news recently. So cause of heat waves. So there are many causes. Causes like right now, if you want to say the main cause of heat wave, marine heat wave, is global warming without any doubt. There is increase in global temperature because of anthropogenically induced global warming gases, and hence there is a overall rise in temperature. That's why rise in temperature of sea surface also. Increased atmospheric and ocean temperature, it is because of global warming. Indeed, there are ocean currents that happen to be warm current bringing warm water to the area which is colder, and there are certain events like El Nino also responsible for this kind of situation. El Nino events. Apart from it, shifts in current transport warm water to new area, wind pattern, that is onshore wind and offshore wind is also responsible for temperature distribution. So the wind which is going to be onshore is what? Accumulating warm water close to the coast. That's why onshore winds are also responsible for what you can say heat waves. Periodic warming of Pacific Ocean rises global sea surface temperature. What is the meaning of periodic rise of Pacific Ocean? Try to understand in the geography class, specifically in case when I discuss about the revolution of Earth, I usually go for perihelion and aphelion condition, and I always suggest that in perihelion condition, southern hemisphere is likely to receive more insolation throughout the year, and due to extra insolation, the southern hemisphere has a southern Pacific Ocean which get warmed up, and when the carrying capacity of this ocean reached, what happened? The heat dissipation takes place, and that results El Nino as well as other what you can say, extreme weather phenomena, and that's why there is a periodic warming of Pacific Ocean that is responsible for rise in the global sea surface temperature. Okay, so periodic rise of Pacific Ocean temperature. Anthropogenic factor, like anthropogenic factor, that means you are doing coastal agriculture, you are doing what you can say, transportation, drilling, mining, indeed developmental activities like you are developing seaside urban area. So all these anthropogenic activity, that is also responsible for pollution, and it is what leading to the rise in the temperature of the ocean. What are the impact which you can have due to the rise in sea surface temperature? Let me explain. First, the severity scale, causes, and it has been mentioned over here. Please go through it. And one thing more which I would like to give you, the very peculiar cause of this Mediterranean sea surface, rise in sea surface temperature, that is what formation of heat dome over Europe. These heat dome are basically the upper atmospheric circulation is responsible for it. The upper atmosphere is going to have the jet streams, and that is going to seal the upper atmosphere, and there is a no vertical movement of wind taking place. That's why the downward movement of wind is responsible for warming up of what wind, because once wind is descending, there is a warming effect, and that is what responsible for the local heat wave in the Mediterranean Sea. Apart from it, El Nino effect, obviously this El Nino warmed water from Peruvian coast is now distribute the heat to the entire water body, and certainly it will raise the temperature of each and every water body, and hence the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, so this heat dome is responsible for it. What are the impact due to the heat wave? Basically, there is a process that is called as tropicalization of temperate region. So whenever the heat dome or marine heat wave is established in the tropical region, mainly it occurs in the tropical and subtropical region, तो वहाँ क्या होगा बच्चे, पानी गर्म हो जाएगा. पानी गर्म होगा तो whatever the flora as well as fauna, mainly the animal, the biodiversity over there start migrating towards temperate region in search of what conducive temperature. And due to that, in the temperate region, the fishes which is of tropical in origin start accumulating in temperate region. So that phenomena is called as tropicalization of temperate region. So the marine organism which happen to be adapted for tropical region, and in tropical region we are going to have higher sea surface temperature, so they start migrating in search of that very temperature where they can sustain their life, which is what northerly placed or southerly placed from their original position. That's why they start accumulating in temperate region. So you'll find the migration of tropical flora as well as fauna over there. So accumulation of lot of flora and fauna over there, that leads to ecological imbalance in that area. And what happened to this area where the temperature get raised up? It has been seen that if temperature of water get raised up, then what happened? There is lot of algal bloom. Algae start growing over there, and due to algal bloom, toxins are released. Due to algal bloom, there is a further repercussion, ecological imbalance over there. Due to algal bloom, there will be lot of loss of flora as well as fauna because of the ingestion of these algal bloom toxic water by many animals. So there are ecological repercussion which can be seen in mass mortality in marine ecosystem. It was seen, and there were 5 events affect commercial fish species in Spanish Mediterranean. Your tuna fish which happen to be of tropical in origin start migrating towards temperate region, तो tuna मिलना बंद हो जाती है ना? And not only this, it is also going to be beneficial for certain species. It was observed in case of marine heat wave that the tuna species especially which give their egg in the month of June, they have enormously grown population. But the same tuna species which has their egg in the July and August of that very month is not going to give so much of population, isn't it? So same species species you are going to have impacts. So in nutshell, it is going to create ecological imbalance. This ecological imbalance can be seen in form of mass mortality in marine ecosystem. It can be seen in form of tropicalization. This is a new term which is what part of your news. That's why you should understand. And the third thing I talked about, algal bloom and toxicity. And the fourth thing which you should remember is what? This increase in sea surface temperature results coral bleaching. So coral bleaching is also going to be one of the most important repercussion because of sea surface, rise in sea surface temperature. And you know coral is what? One of the most diverse ecosystem of the world. And this diversity is attributed because of that algae, which is the part of what? Symbiotic relationship of that very coral polyp, and constitute the most beautiful, colorful and biodiversity rich ecological system that we call coral. And coral bleaching lead to repercussion to that very ecological system, and hence it is going to affect the flora and fauna of that very area. Apart from it, if you see this sea surface rise, so obviously there will be more evaporation, and the air in the surrounding area will be rich in more moisture, and this more moisture lead to more rainfall in the coastal area, and more rainfall lead to coastal erosion and coastal flooding. So climatic increase, atmospheric moisture, heavy rainfall, flash flood, landslide, coastal erosion that takes place in the coastal area. What are the socio-economic repercussions which you will find? So if your ecosystem get altered, so coastal community depends upon the ocean resources. So obviously this ecological imbalance lead to social imbalance without any doubt. आपने वो मछलियां ढूंढनी है जो आप रोज लेकर के आते थे और बाजार में बेच के अपना काम चलाते थे, है ना? अब वो मछलियां माइग्रेट हो गई हैं वहां से, कहीं और चली गई, या फिर कोस्टल इरोजन के कारण यहाँ पे ढेर सारा सिल्ट जमा होने लगा पानी में, एंड देयर इज फर्दर लॉस ऑफ बायोडाइवर्सिटी. सो ऑब्वियसली इट विल अफेक्ट द सोशियो इकोनॉमिक नेटवर्क ऑफ दैट वेरी एरिया, थ्रेटन aquaculture, fisheries and tourism in coastal region, damage local livelihood and food security. Not only this, apart from it, the sea surface rise, a sea surface temperature rise will lead to more intense tropical cyclone. The cyclones are going to be stronger, and the cyclones are going to strike strongly and have the repercussions of strong tropical cyclones, which is not given over here, but do remember this is also the thing which you should have in sea, rise in sea surface temperature, or you can say marine heat wave. What are the way forward? So there is a very generalized way forward which is part of your you can say disaster management part, that is what? Monitoring and prediction. So monitoring, when you want to manage a risk or when you want to mitigate the risk, especially the natural disaster, then आपकी monitoring बड़ी सही होनी चाहिए, so that आप देखते रहें कि परिवर्तन कैसे हो रहे हैं. सो व्हाट टू मॉनिटर? रियल टाइम सी सरफेस टेम्परेचर मॉनिटरिंग इन हाई रिस्क जोन. ऐसे एरिया जहां पे आपको लगता है कि सी सरफेस टेम्परेचर बढ़ेगा और बढ़ ही जा रहा है, वहां कई दिनों से हीट वेव्स हैं, तो आपको मॉनिटर करना होगा कि ये कितना बढ़ रहा है, व्हाट इज द रेट ऑफ इंक्रीज एंड व्हाई इट इज. सो यू मस्ट हैव मॉनिटरिंग एंड प्रेडिक्शन, एंड फॉर प्रेडिक्शन वी मस्ट हैव अर्ली वार्निंग एज वेल एज नाउ वार्निंग सिस्टम फॉर मरीन हीट वेव इवेंट. पॉलिसी एंड mitigation, what to do? Cutting fossil fuel emission to curb the ocean warming. Cutting fossil fuel emission will result what? Decrease in the carbon emission, and decrease in the carbon emission result decrease in the carbon dioxide concentration in atmosphere. This will reduce the global warming, and not only this, this also helps in प्रोटेक्टिंग ओशन फ्रॉम एसिडिफिकेशन. सो ओशन एसिडिफिकेशन को भी आप रोक सकते हैं, ऑल्दो इट इज अ लॉन्ग टर्म व्हाट यू कैन से मैनेजमेंट, जिसके तरफ हम लोग जा रहे हैं. फॉसिल फ्यूल बर्निंग को हम कम कर रहे हैं बाय ऑप्टिंग रीन्यूएबल एनर्जी रिसोर्सेज. ठीक है बच्चे. इंटीग्रेट marine heat wave in climate adaptation framework. What does it mean? Climate adaptation framework. When you want to raise disaster resilient infrastructure to combating the disaster, these are the futuristic goals, are developmental goal. तो अब जब developmental goal के लिए आप मान लीजिए coastal zone regulation ला रहे हैं या coast के आसपास किस तरह के कंस्ट्रक्शन हो जो इन रिपरकशंस को रोकें, उसके लिए जो भी फ्यूचरिस्टिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट होंगे उसका पार्ट अब मरीन हीट वेव को भी बनाना पड़ेगा. उससे पहले आप क्या बात करते थे? यू टॉक अबाउट सुनामी, अर्थक्वेक, यू टॉक अबाउट ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन, बट नाउ दिस मरीन हीट वेव इज वन ऑफ द न्यू व्हाट यू कैन से डिजास्टर, नेचुरल डिजास्टर that has to be taken care of in the long-term infrastructural development project, specifically in the coastal area. So that is what integrate marine heat waves in climate adaptation framework. Resilience building, and the same thing, we require resilience against natural disaster because we can't control it, we can't stop it, they will occur, so we have to respond in a way so that normalcy can be restored as early as possible. That we call resilience. So when we want to have a resilience building, we have to enhance coastal community preparedness. जो लोग कोस्ट पे रहते हैं उनको भी ये समझना होगा, समझाना होगा, and they have to be aware कि आपको क्या करना है, क्या नहीं करना है. Accordingly they has to be prepared. अब आप कहोगे इसमें क्या कर सकते हैं? Suppose that एक फिशरमैन है जिसको ये पता होना चाहिए कि हीट वेव का टाइमिंग क्या है, ताकि वो उस समय पे अपने जीविका के किसी अन्य साधन को तलाश सके. आप समझ पा रहे हैं? सो दिस काइंड ऑफ इनिशिएटिव ओनली बी पॉसिबल व्हेन द गवर्नमेंट इज प्रोवाइडिंग सच काइंड ऑफ अवेयरनेस टू द लोकल कम्युनिटी, isn't it? Then the behavior become what? Goal directing. So in case of heat wave, the socio-economic network which is going to be devastated in case of heat wave can be restored because the people are not only depending over the ocean resource, there are some other things. Suppose that you want to have some kind of tourism over there, so at the time of marine heat wave you have to abstain this because there will be tropical cyclone, there will be flooding, coastal flooding, there will be coastal erosion and something like that. Okay, so resilience building, enhance coastal community preparedness. There are many ways and means. For example, I have discussed protect and restore marine ecosystem to improve natural resilience. अब अगर marine heat wave होंगी ही तो हम और क्या कर सकते हैं? So we will thrive those ways and means, we will try to introduce those and means that can protect the ecosystem damage. Okay, और उसके बहुत सारे examples हो सकते हैं. ठीक है बच्चे? So this is what you need to prepare for your mains examination. Specifically this can be asked in your disaster management part, or it can be asked in a contemporary current affairs geography part. Thank you and stay tuned for such informative videos with Apti Plus. Thank you very much.